Hot off the wire, all the way from Paris, France. Your news from the tennis world. Well, the stars continue to drop from the sky as Danny Altmaier topples Jannik Sinner. The young Deutsche Jungen war Spitze, toll, ausgezeichnet, ordentlich und sehr nett on Stade Roland Garros. Now, would you believe Stan the Man goes down in his second five-setter of the tournament to none other than the fella who, according to Sticky Nicky Kyrgios, was rumored to have had inappropriate relationships with his gal. He stole his girl, and then he stole his French Open, but they still can be sporting about it as they embrace in a hug. Meanwhile, Novak Djokovic leaps forwards into the third round. Showing graciousness as he embraces his opponent in net, Nole flashed his world-famous Joker smile as he shook hands with the chair. But Nole's biggest threat, Carlitos Alcaraz, looked strong as he came up with what is surely the shot of the tournament. Then Mr. Bue himself buoyed his way all the way to the third round. But his Russian friend Danny Medvedev wasn't so lucky. The gladiator, who just conquered Rome, went down in 5 sets to the wild man, Thiago Seyboth Wild. And then this. A story of redemption, struggle, sacrifice. Gaël Monfils, l'homme de France, won a round at his beloved French Open for the first time in years, but he literally left it all out on the court as he couldn't continue, pulling out of the second round. He can claim the match of the tournament in the hearts of millions of rude French tennis fans. And that was your news of the tennis world.
Welcome to the Coffee Break Tennis Podcast. Happy to be here. That was a doozy, man. That was something. What? Yeah? Okay. Mr. Goat is looking at me. He's upset. But I am French. Well, I'm like 10% French. Mr. Goat says I need to address the comment about rude French tennis fans. Now, in the last show, I talked about the barbaric Italian tennis fans in Rome and how rude they can be, cheering double faults. And Mr. Goat has pointed out to me that I never say anything about the French, and they can be just as rude. And we saw in that Monfils match. I mean, we wanted Monfils to win, didn't we, Mr. Goat? We like him. We were pulling for him, especially against that 12-year-old Baez. Jeez. According to Marty Fucevich, at least. The French are the French. The Italians are the Italians. We'll leave it at that. But hey, I'll tell you one thing. We loved going to Italy, didn't we, Mr. Well, you didn't get to go, Mr. Goat. Sorry about that. I loved going to Italy, but I like France better. Let's take a look at this. Speaking of 12-year-olds, Cameron Norrie is at it again. I almost went back into the voice. Cameron Norrie's at it again. This has been a fun tournament. I've never seen so many people crying, by the way, right? We saw Danny Altmaier, the Deutsche Junge, who was war Spitze. We saw him crying. We've seen others crying. Of course, we saw Monfils crying. And now Cameron Norrie is crying in the press room. I can't escape it. Maybe the Google is listening to me and spying on me. Yeah, right. It spies on everything. Yeah, everyone has a story like that where they're saying something, then they pick up their phone and the Facebook or the Google recommends that you buy a thing you were talking about. Right? I want to get wool socks. I want merino wool socks. What do you know? They're recommending merino wool socks on the Facebook. So Google, I can't escape Cam Norrie, Scam Norrie. A friend of mine calls him Chuck Norrie. Like Chuck Norris, I guess. Scam Norrie reignites a row with Novak Djokovic with his scathing comments. I got a bunch of stuff in the show today, and we're just going to go through it in a random order because it was so much work to put together my 1920s style newsreel that I didn't really organize everything else. But we got a lot of good stuff in the show for you today. Of course, we'll look at the draw. My draw was great, and every mistake made has a perfectly good excuse. Just like FAA, he was in the original version of that newsreel, but when Jannik Sinner lost it, I had to bump some of the stuff I had in it that I had been working on yesterday. FAA had a great excuse. Fabio Fognini took him down in straight sets, as predicted in my draw, and nowhere else. Diarrhea. That's what they say, diarrhea. Flash that on the screen. I know that I got that somewhere. Gil Gross put that out there in the ether. and the internet and the stratosphere. Anyways, back to Scam Norrie. I don't want to dig into this any more than a little surface scratching here, but Cam Norrie basically said, Djokovic says I'm rude. I'm unordentlich, unsportlich, whatever. Well, Djokovic showed up 10 minutes late to the match. How about that? That's not normal. Okay, Cam. The umpire informed us. So apparently he was complaining to the umpire about it? Like he was going to try to get the default, I guess? What a jerk. This guy just keeps coming across as a bigger and bigger jack. Anyways, Cam Norrie was very upset that Djokovic was 10 minutes late in the physio room getting, stretched out there, stretching his legs back behind his head and wrapping them around his neck like some kind of Kama Sutra octopus. Anyways, Cam Norrie was informed by the chair that if you're 15 minutes late or more, you got to forfeit. And unfortunately for Cam Norrie, he didn't get the forfeit. He got beat. So anyways, he'll get what's coming to him eventually. He's hanging on in there. We'll look at the draw. We'll take a look at where Scam Norrie is. Monfils in front of the rude French tennis fans. I don't care. The French are the French. I love them, man. Anyways, I was down 0-3. I thought he was down 0-4 in that final set. Anyways, he said when he was down 0-3, maybe this is before he was down 0-4, it didn't kick in. The inspiration hit at 0-3, and at 0-4 it started to kick in. He said, I was thinking, I've never won a match since I became a dad. My daughter is here, and I just needed to win. I thought that was pretty amazing. Let's move on to another one. Here's another headline, another thing that grabbed my eye. We always talk about mental toughness. And here's another way, a secret to success for Carlitos. Carlitos Alcaraz. I'm winning all the time because I'm smiling, and I always said that smiling for me is the key of everything. I mean, he always is smiling. Even when he loses, you see some smiles, and he's pretty gracious in defeat. Alcaraz is. He dropped a set, a little tricky in the second round, I think it was. Yeah, but is he ready to beat Djokovic? I don't know. I don't know if this is like a sign of anything. He was up against a hot opponent today, and we'll take a look at that in a minute. But just want to put that out there. There's another way to approach tennis. If you're smiling, you're staying upbeat, and you're focusing on what you're supposed to do. We got a lot of stuff on that. We got some good stuff from Medvedev talking about his loss in the presser, and we got some good stuff from another Russian, his buddy Rublev. This was great. I saw this from the tennis section. They're on Instagram, some funny memes they make. A moment of silence for people who missed Sinner versus Altmaier. I have a clip of one of the points. It was amazing. Look, Sinner's toast. At least, I don't know. Everything Andre Agassi touches doesn't turn to gold. It turns to the opposite of gold. And Darren Cahill, biggest claim to fame is working with Andre Agassi. And maybe he picked the wrong guy from the Agassi team for Sinner. Maybe Darren Cahill isn't the right guy. What's going on with Sinner? When I look at Holger Rune, his legs look beefy to me. And I recall this comment from Roger Federer, or a coach who worked with Federer. It was a coach. Former coach. And he said the moment, because, Federer had struggles when he was in his early 20s. And people thought he was going to waste his talent and not do anything with it. But anyway, so Federer had struggles, and this former coach of Federer, he said the moment things started to change for Fed was when they did some really intense exercise programs, routines on his legs. When he became a truly elite mover, which Sinner is a very good mover. But it wasn't just like an elite mover, but it was an elite mover who can do it for 5 sets. That's what the big three is all about. And I have a great clip from Cocky Knocky, friend of Sticky Nicky Kyrgios, about that very thing. But anyway, so I'm wondering, maybe Gil Reyes, that was the physio, the weight training guy from Agassi, also encouraged Agassi to pursue his love, which he full-time pursues now that he's not into tennis, of cheeseburgers, Big Macs, Le Whopper, as the guy in Belgium, Burger King, said to me. And maybe that was the guy for Sinner. And until Sinner beefs up those legs, I heard someone say Holger Rune. I saw a comment that said, Holger Rune can't go all the way. Well, when I look at Holger Rune, he's got those beefy legs. I think he can go more 5-setters than Jannik Sinner can. Anyways, I love Sinner here, and tough to see him go, but maybe he'll fire coach of Agassi. Agassi worked with Dimitrov, and that was when Dimitrov was at his all-time worst. That was the worst part of his career. Agassi worked with Djokovic. all-time worst part of his career. I think that's when he lost to Taro Daniel, however you say it. Someone said it like Zorro, Toro, I don't know. Names are always weird, especially on Tennis Channel, anywhere, everywhere, all the time, all at once, whatever they call it. Maybe they switched the name to Tennis Channel Plus now. They should have done that. Man, you got to stream the French Open in the U.S. on that thing, and they got no talent on there. You know, they got one of the Woodies. And he's good. But when I'm watching Sinner today, oh, by the way, take a look at this. Let's give a little credit to Altmaier. Or not so much credit. I mean, give him a lot of credit, actually. The guy was amazing today. But let's give a slight excuse to Sinner. I always say in this sport, it's really hard to beat someone twice. And Altmaier already had a 5-set experience, as you can see here, with Jannik Sinner before. So, that's a small factor. Anyways, what was I just saying? I can't remember. Oh, well. Moving on. This is what I was talking about earlier. Gil Gross said FAA had diarrhea and a bad hamstring. Although he's had a rough year, I'd avoid passing much judgment. Well, you know what? We're going to pass a lot of judgment on him. And same with Sinner. I'm throwing those guys out of the mix for now. Out of the mix, and I'm putting Holger Rune in instead. Take a look at this, though. This was the moment. Maybe this is what I was going to say earlier. You know, I was watching Sinner. I was just getting furious. I was getting furious at Andre Agassi and Darren Cahill. I was blaming them for all the reasons why my pick the last couple years to take over the sport, Jannik Sinner, hasn't been able to quite do it all the way yet. And, going back to Rotterdam, Medvedev and Sinner, Sinner comes out hot, looks incredible, taking it to Medvedev. I think he wins the first set. And then it just looks like he doesn't have the legs to keep, and he had some tough matches earlier in the Rotterdam. But I think, although he also didn't he have some matches in Rotterdam where he just absolutely demolished some really good players too? Doesn't matter, because in that Medvedev match, he just lost it. He couldn't hang with Medvedev anymore physically. But as mad and as frustrated, and I was just throwing Jannik Sinner on the trash can. As much as I was doing that, I saw this one point, and I remembered why I love Sinner. Check this out. Hope we don't get banned from YouTube because of this by the Roland Garros. I just knew this guy, his one-hander was amazing. Right here. I thought that would be the winner up the line for the match. This was like match point number 6. And then you see that.
How far do you think you can go?
All right, let's go straight to Kakinaki.
In tournaments like this, like Grand Slam?
I'm not too sure, to be honest. I'm taking it one match at a time. I saw my draw. I knew it was tough. It doesn't get much easier from now. The names you have to kind of beat to progress. It's just crazy how guys like Djokovic and Nadal have won 20 of these.
No, you're wrong, Kakinakis. So it's because they play in a weak era.
Win 5 sets is brutal. It's a pain, especially on clay. You're like, it's a massive relief, and then you're like, shit, hang on, I got to go again in 2 days. I'm just going to swear. I'm sorry. It's me. So, yeah, this stuff is so hard. So for people watching at home, that's like, oh, you should be able to do that or whatever. They don't understand how hard it is and how impressive these guys are. So,
you hear that, you armchair critics out there? For the people that don't know, they need to know this stuff is hard. It is difficult. Give some credit to the big 3. Oh, my God. I mean, is it a weak era? I mean, maybe it is. These guys can't beat anybody, huh? Or maybe it's not. Maybe it's always been a lot of depth in this game. The top 100, even the top 200 on their day are incredible. Beating these guys best out of 5 at every best out of 5 tournament 4 times a year, 8 weeks out of the year for freaking 20 years. Oh, my God. A weak era. All right, especially when it was Federer. Imagine when it was just Federer by himself. He was winning everything for like 5 years straight, or 6 or something like that. Oh, what else do we got here? I don't even know. I lost track. We're just going to keep rolling with stuff. Oh, no. Yeah, throw those carrot costumes into trash. It's over. You know, Jannik, he threw his racket in the match. So I looked, when has Sinner ever broke a racket? Has he ever thrown a racket? And then all I could find on YouTube was this. He's kicked some things softly and then immediately picked it back up. The guy's so nice.
Did you feel expectations coming from other people coming into this tournament because you're coming in having won a Masters?
I don't know. I mean, I think it's more about the player, how he take those things, because expectations in the end is a bit not real. I don't know. It's more like a game for the media and everyone, that okay, no, it's, you think now I have to win, no, or whatever, and it's a bit fake, because in reality no one cares if you win or you lose, and that's the reality. So I try to just, like I said, to focus on the things that I need to focus, and to try to think less about what's going around.
Was it harder not to focus or get wrapped up in the game when you were?
Oh my gosh, so correct here from a fellow redhead tennis player of Jannik Sinner there. Yeah, I saw that clip, and he says, if I retire tomorrow, later in that clip, he says, is it going to change your life? No, not at all. And if these players get wrapped up in these media narratives about who's a favorite and who's the greatest and whatever. I mean, with the big three, it's kind of different. Like they know. I think they already know. They've learned this lesson before that Mr. Rubles is talking about there. But when I heard that clip, I immediately thought about all this talk, the media, the pathetic, tiny tennis media. It's not like, the real media of the world of different countries. But you know what I mean? I shouldn't say pathetic, but you know what I'm saying? The tennis media. It's kind of laughable when you hear someone say that a little bit. They're talking about this rivalry. They're itching for like a new Djokovic Nadal, Federer Nadal kind of style rivalry. And they're saying that Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner are, already one of these legendary rivalries. Well, you can't have a rivalry with top players if you don't get out of the second round. Forget the first week, get into the second week. Get out of the second round at a major. It won't happen. And I don't know if that's a problem for Sinner, if that's something he thought about. Probably not. The guy seems to have a great attitude. But, things get mental. And seeing him throw his racket today, he's an Iceman. He's Bjorn Borg style. And to see him crack a little bit. Also, I've never seen the clips of him kicking the things over before, too. I mean, that's pretty minor. And you might be saying, Matt, what about Djokovic? Djokovic goes crazy all the time. What about Holger Rune? Some people can do it, and some people can't. But to me, the thing that grabbed my interest here is just a little insight into what's going on in the head of Jannik Sinner. Anyway, so dealing with expectations. Medvedev went from a guy who, he did pretty good at the French Open last year. What did he make, quarterfinals? Because there were no expectations whatsoever. Now he actually had expectations, even from me. I think commentators, when he won Rome, were saying he's a favorite now. A smaller favorite compared to other players, but a favorite. And I think, when I said, I saw some comments out there saying Qualife will win from the draw show. We didn't know who it was yet. If I would have saw it was this guy, I'm going to be honest with you, I still would have said Medvedev wins. And I think if he would have played this guy in like the third round or something, he would have won, or the second round even. But it's tough on the first round. It's tough for Medvedev, who spent more time in Rome and less time in Paris than any other player on tour other than Holger Rune, I guess. And it's funny. I've seen some of these guys, lower ranked guys, but seeded players who get a qualifier or a wild card, and they're just totally, dog crap sandwiches compared to this Thiago Seyboth wild guy. And like I said, I'm honest. If I saw the draw with the name instead of just Q for Qualife, I still would have said Meds, but I would have said this is tricky, this is a must-watch match, and I wouldn't be shocked if an upset happened, because they usually happen early. It can happen in the first round. Things are very, you hear from top players, big three, I've heard it from them in press conferences over the years, that, they just want to get through that first round, because that's when things can be the trickiest and you haven't quite settled into this new tournament yet. And Thiago Seyboth Wild, I don't know if you know anything about him, but I'm going to play some clips from Meds, and Med will even talk about this a little bit. But Meds doesn't say this. This guy has only played on clay this whole year. This guy's been playing challenge. He says, he's winning some challengers on clay, I saw. Well, that's all he's done since January. This guy has only played on clay all year long. So that's a tough draw, actually, for a first rounder for Medvedev. And especially when, maybe if it was last year, it would have been easier to handle. I think Medvedev played pretty well. He thinks so too. Let's listen to him. But I was going to say, we're looking at Sinner as he's becoming more and more of a favorite. And he's not a secret anymore. Everyone knows about him. And, just thinking about how we take it for granted, the big three, they deal with this pressure and they keep beating everyone, but it's not easy. As you saw Kakinakis saying, everyone on their day is really good. I heard Rublev saying something like this earlier in the year. Guys inside the top 200 on their day can be quite an obstacle to overcome. Anyways, let's listen to Meds.
Tough match. I don't know if I'm not going to look it back on TV, but my feeling was that he played well. I don't think I played that bad, but he played well. The thing is that it's always the same. If he continues to play that way, my opinion, end of the year, he's top 30. But last time I said something like this about someone, he didn't manage to do it. So great for him to play like this today. I honestly hope he's going to play like this later on, because then if not, I'm going to be disappointed. I'm going to be like, why today? And why not in 2 days? So, yeah.
I love that. What does he say next? Okay, conditions is next. But just to comment on that really quick, I think that's a pretty funny comment from Medza. Any of these guys on their day, as I said, can be amazing. Why today? Meds wants to know. If this guy doesn't go on to be, a top player and not be one of these guys who comes in as a qualifié and has to play a top seed early at a major, it'll be upsetting to him, because it's like, why? Why does this guy have his best day of the year when he plays me today? A simple answer to that, though, is no expectations, no pressure. You come out in this big stadium, you're playing in one of the top 3 players in the world, just won Rome, you're not supposed to win. Even if you're a great player on clay, this guy won the Junior French Open before. I remember seeing him and somebody, I think it was in like a ATP 500 or 250 final a couple years ago. And I was really impressed by him, thinking this is one of those guys coming up on clay is going to be really good. And I want to say, who was he playing? It could have been Alcaraz or some other young guy at the time who, was showing a lot of talent, who's doing well now. It was, what's his name? It was the boxer. The freaking, the guy with his dad's a boxer. Why can't I? Oh, God, of course I should remember his name, because people butcher it all the time. Davidovich. Anyways, next clip.
Very tough with the wind, but it's strange because it was here from the first day, like 6 days ago, same direction, always on center. And I don't remember this from previous years. Well, it is what it is. Was not easy, but okay, it's part of the game. We got to
remember this. Listen to this part.
With these heavy balls, to adjust with the wind was not easy. And in my opinion, players who have I don't know how even to say it, but like a wrist game, like wrist. My opponent today, Wristy. Like Carlos,
lots of spin.
I think Stefanos a little bit, have big advantage with these balls because they can create easy par, which I don't have, and that was a little bit the case today. He was controlling almost all the points, and I was suffering a lot, especially on the side against the wind.
Great point there from Mr. Danny Medvedev, and tuck that away in the back of your brain, because you know it's going to happen. We're going to get Djokovic versus Alcaraz at some point in this tournament. And if it's been windy. Djokovic was already complaining about it a little bit, saying it was tricky. And the wind is tough. Credit to Djokovic for doing all on Francais and the press conferences. But Alcaraz, he has a wristy game, right? Federer, Nadal. Djokovic, not as much. Djokovic is closer to Medvedev, a flatter game. Everyone on tour uses their wrist to impart some spin on the forehand. Not on the backhand for some of these guys with two-handers, right? Some guys think of it like a Kyrgios backhand, Medvedev backhand, very flat. Cam Norrie, the flattest of all. So if it's windy, I don't know. Are the conditions going to be windy next week? When we get the semifinals, we'll see. But if it's very windy, that could be a slight edge for Alcaraz, who does have a wristier forehand than Djokovic. Let's listen to another Medvedev clip.
Are you expecting the level to drop? Is that what surprised you?
Yeah, he dropped it only in one set, and I managed to use it. I mean, second tiebreak, he did some mistakes when he had a set point.
He could have won that.
I really, in my opinion, tried, to, let's call it, try to make him win this match, and he managed to do it. So again, no problem with that. He played great. I think he's a great player. He won US Open Juniors, if I'm not mistaken.
Anyway, so he goes on to talk about, what I just told you earlier, is that the guy's He won U.S. Open juniors. I thought it was French Open. Whatever. The guy's been on clay all year too. Not the best thing. All right, we got to do this really quick. We'll miss Medvedev, but maybe he'll be good on grass. He had some interesting comments on grass. He said it's not necessarily my favorite surface either, but I'm excited to see how I do there, and I'll definitely like it better than clay. He also said, even though I won Rome, I'm happy clay season's over. I don't understand, why does everyone, the guys that love clay, did they like getting clay in their mouth? It was so windy. I got clay in my mouth today, clay in my shoes, clay in my bag. Take your socks off, your white socks, and throw them in the trash, because that's what the clay does. All right, Michael Emer did this. I said I'd play it last time, so let's take a look. Great point. Tough luck. Guy's furious. He's already argued with the umpire about a bad call earlier. And here
Michael Emer,
the greatest racket smash of all time.
This is done.
I love it. He throws the handle. Now, he's going to say something here. Yeah, look at that hole.
Chunk out of the chair of the umpire. I think he's...
All right, so I'm not going to keep playing it, but basically he says, what about Zverev? What happened to Zverev? Did he get defaulted? Mr. Umpire, you're going to default me. What happened to Zverev? Well, let's show you. Match point. Okay, so this is the part where they argue. Let's fast forward a little. Okay. All right, so that's the end of the match. Chest bump. They're walking to the net. Here comes the handshake now. And then this. So the match is over. That's the problem. This one was a little closer to hitting the umpire. I think this one's actually worse. As far as, because that's what the umpire says to Michael Emer. And then he drops some F-bombs. You completely F'd up the match. Then we're going to play my favorite of all time. Because you think it's the men. I remember when Serena went off, all these people were saying, like, at the U.S. Open, when Osaka won her first, all these people were saying, like, women never do this, It's always the men. The men get away with it all the time. And a woman does it one time and gets away with it. Going back to Zverev really quick. He couldn't be defaulted because he had already lost the match, right? But to me, it does look a little worse. He almost hit the umpire like in the foot, in the leg. And that's what the umpire says, the referee says, the supervisor, they call him. He says to Michael Emer, look, you know what you did. You're hitting the chair and it's threatening to the umpire. That's the biggest problem with this. It's not just smashing a racket. It's worse than that. Anyways, this is the all-time greatest because of the reaction from Sakari. Watch. Pliskova means business. Handshake, watch to keep your eye on the right. Then she runs away. The best. All right, what else do we got for you? Take a look at this. Despite this setback for Jannik Sinner, he has been making history, setting records in different ways. Maybe not the ones he wants to set, like winning the French Open. But for guys 22 years or younger, the most wins in the majors comes to Jannik Sinner. So let's not throw him away in the trash like I was saying earlier. But it's tough. I really like Jannik Sinner. I think it's just physical. I'd say he's very mentally tough. It's not even like that. I was making an issue of him throwing the racket. I think it's more that he realized he kind of blew it. He was down in that fourth set. I think it was the fourth set. And he's probably feeling, he had match points. But he was down like 3-0 or 4-0. So he fought all the way back just to lose in a tiebreak and have match points. He had an overhead to finish off the match in the fifth set. And maybe that's why he threw the racket, because he knew, like, I had my chances and I wasted a lot of energy. And I think it's a physical thing. I think those legs are too skinny. This guy needs to beef up those legs with some serious muscle power. But, let's acknowledge his massive accomplishments. Anyways, I got a couple more things for you, then we'll look at the draw really quick. This is touching. It made me wonder about my career and how long I might play. This is when Djokovic heard about Nadal not playing. When he announced he's going to have his last season, I felt part of me is leaving with him too. I think all of us tennis fans who've been around for a while watching this great sport that we love so much, I think all of us feel a little bit like part of us is dying as these guys, Federer, Nadal, and eventually the Joker, will leave the sport. It's like it'll just never be the same, I think. I don't know. Will it? Comment below what you think about that. I mean, for me, of course it'll never be the same, but we'll at least, will we still enjoy this sport? Will we still love it when it's just Sinner and Holger Rune and Medvedev, All right, let's go through the draw, and I can make my excuses for my mistakes. I was right about Carlitos Alcaraz. Of course. Taro Daniel, he won. I picked Chris O'Connell. I don't have a good excuse for that. I don't know if I'm going to make an excuse for everything, but let's take a look at this draw because things are getting interesting now. Alcaraz and Shapovalov. I certainly didn't have that, but Alcaraz is definitely going to win. Shapo, no expectations right now. Gotta watch. Maybe he can pull off something special, like win a set or two. No way he wins. But Alcaraz did look a little shaky, right? In his against Taro Daniel in that second set. And that's what happened when he lost to Madrid. Or no, he didn't lose Madrid. He almost lost to Madrid, excuse me. It is what happened when he lost in Rome. Everyone's considering Alcaraz a favorite before clay even started. But if you think about it, if he does lose in Madrid early, like he almost did, maybe not so much a favorite anymore. Maybe people start doubting him. So there could be a little opportunity there. Scam Norrie and Musetti. I got Musetti coming through in the draw. I'm a little nervous about that, though. I really like Musetti. His game's so much nicer to watch than Cam Norrie with his big, disgusting left-handed seagull forehand. Kind of reminds you of Ernest Gulbis. If anything, it's like uglier. At least Ernest Gulbis was funny. And he's got the shovel backhand, which is, ugly. You can tell from the name. Anyways, I don't think either one of them is a serious threat to Alcaraz, but you got to say both of them are as much of a threat as Shapo is, at least. So, got to watch. Still not sure about Alcaraz here. And even though Joker has said in press that he's feeling great, the body, still not believing him, because if he didn't feel 100%, he would never say that. At least he doesn't have a brace on his elbow anymore. Fabio Fognini. I think I had him here this far. I got him losing to Cressy. Well, Cressy's not there. I knew Korda was going down, though, so at least I got that right. But at least Korda, credit to him to get a win here, get one round. Diego Schwartzman and Tsitsipas. I do think I had that. No, I had Isner taking out Schwarty D. Is a quick comment on Isner. So much respect for that guy's professionalism and how he just got the most out of his talent. I saw the other day Patrick Mortoglu had a clip on Instagram. He does a lot of good coaching clips, actually. And he had a shirt on that said, "Outwork your talent." Well, Isner has certainly outworked his talent because the talent was all in the serve and not in the legs and the movement, right? But he's really worked hard to get the most out of his game, and everyone can learn from that. And that's what the big three have all done. All three of them worked very hard to get the most out of their games, even though they were extremely talented and could have had great careers without learning how to come to net more and everything else they did. Anyways, Djokovic and Davidovich, as they say on Tennis Channel Plus, anywhere, everywhere, all the time, all at once. He's up against Joker. That'll be another must-watch match. I think we learn a little from Alcaraz Shapo, and we learn a little bit more from Joker and Davidovich Fokina. I think Davidovich Fokina is who I saw playing Tiago Seyboth Wild in some final a couple years ago, thinking, these guys both look like they're going to be really good on clay and dangerous at the French. So here they are. Hubi Dubi Hurkacz almost went down to Talon Greek Sport. I have him there. I had him against RBA. And RBA was up 2-0 and went down to Juan Pablo Varillas. I got Hubi Dubi coming through and Joker smoking his doobie. Heron Hachinov. He is up against the Cockmeister. I thought it'd be Stan, but it wasn't. It's Cocky. Former mate, or best mate of Sticky Nicky Kyrgios. Tough call. I got Stan coming through, so I got Kachanov losing. I guess I'll go with Cocky, but Kachanov's been good this year. He should win. He should win that one. But Cocky's a likable guy, very honest, as you can see from that clip we played earlier. I hope he wins. How are we doing on time? Okay, let's speed up through this thing. Hit the music. We're getting out of here. Mr. Rubles. Love his attitude. Love his comments about how it's just a game. It's just a game that the media makes up who's a favorite. Because how fast can they say, remember when people used to think this? Well, what a sad story because that guy's a loser now, right? The media will throw you in the trash so quickly. So don't get distracted because they're praising you. They can build you up and then they can tear you down immediately. That's what they do. Anyways, Mr. Rubles, he knows how to deal with things. Such a nice guy. We love the forehand. I'm going to take him over Sonego, but that's a tricky match. Got to watch it. All right, Holger Rune. Got a walkover from Monfils. Is that a good thing? Not always, but I don't think it's going to be a big problem against this guy, Olivieri. But then again, I've never heard of the guy before, so maybe he's incredible in clay, and it's going to be a tough match. Anyways, keep our eye on Holger Rune. This is not, result hasn't posted yet. I saw Rinderknecht was up on Fritz. I like Cerundolo. I really like Cerundolo. I think he could come through here, and I think he's a threat to Holger Rune, but I'm hoping Holger Rune comes through because I think he's good for the sport. Even if he's kind of a baby and he's unlikable, we need guys like that to be winning because it makes people watch. That's simple. Yari keeps winning. You know, sometimes it's a curse in the past to win a little tune-up right before a major, but it hasn't affected him or Grigor Dimitrov. Marcus Giron, what a surprise. An American. Well, he's won rounds. I think he was the last American standing at a French Open a couple years ago, maybe. So he's done it before, but still, you know, good for him. He's probably going to get Casper Ruud. If he can beat Jari, I don't know. Let's go with Jari. The Chilean. Casper Ruud, things have worked out well for him. I had him going down. He still could. Jari's dangerous. Holger Rune, I'll pick over Casper Ruud again, but it's hard to beat someone twice in a row. Ruud almost had him before. It'll be very interesting to see what happens in this section here. You know, it's popular to say right now Holger Rune comes through, but who knows? The guy is still very young and inexperienced. You know, this time last year, I don't think he even made the main draw. I think I heard somebody say that. I can't remember. A lot of stuff happened in a year. All right, last things real quick. Grigor Dimitrov. Same with Jari from, where were they? Were they just, what was it, Undi Schweiz? He's got Altmaier now. A real opportunity for Dimitrov. They both have a similar game with, you know, can dictate with a forehand, beautiful one-handers. Altmaier really good. You know, Altmaier kind of reminds me of Tommy Haas in that match. How when he got a little nervous, his forehand could come apart, but his backhand up the line was always rock solid. What a great shot. That's a must-see match for me. Love to see two talented one-handers. Tiafoe and Zverev. That could be pretty good, too. Another American in the third round. Good on him. I thought Karatsev would handle him today, after especially when I saw that first set, but Tiafoe's, he's been getting better. We've talked bad about him before, but maybe he'll be able to be a true Grand Slam warrior regularly in the second weeks. Zverev has got to like his chances, though, to come through this section. This is now the Zverev section of the draw. There's a reason why he got the night match tonight when Monfils pulled out. And, yeah, got to see what happens there. Chorich, I'll take him coming through. Unless Tiago can keep going, that'd be great. Like Medvedev said, I'm going to be upset if this guy doesn't keep winning. Well, he did it one time. I think he can beat Nishioka. I think he could beat Chorich if he has a great game, although Chorich is really doing the best he has in a while. Anyways, we will be back probably tomorrow. Probably tomorrow we will be back because we're going to learn some stuff tomorrow. But if not, we'll definitely do something on the weekend. And next week, we're going to go hard and do as many videos as possible. This has been an exciting French Open with Nadal gone. It's a big mystery. And of course, we all want to see, us fans of the big three, seeing where their story, their collective story ends. We want to see if Djokovic can basically end the conversation and take the lead once and for all, most likely, unless Nadal makes a miraculous comeback. We'll be back. See you.